January 15th, or 16th. So at this point, he had just been verbally assaulting me, grabbing me, slapping my sunburn as hard as he can, and just being rude. So at this point, I was kind of just ignoring him after everything that had happened at the cliffs. And I was at this rock talking to Emma. And all of a sudden, I hear shouting coming from where my boyfriend was. And I look, and my boyfriend is trying to fight these random guys at the cliffs for no reason. So like a group of guys comes up and they're yelling at him, and he ends up sitting down because it's like going to be a 20v1 because my boyfriend's trying to fight these guys for no reason. And one of the guys ends up coming up to me and is like, "Hey, is that your boyfriend?" And I remember feeling so embarrassed to be like, "Yeah, that is." And he's like, "He has to go. Like, he has to go." And I remember sitting there being like, what am I doing? My boyfriend just got us kicked out of a cliff jumping spot in Hawaii because he's trying to fight people. And I don't know, the guy was like, you have to get him to leave. Like, nobody wants him here. He's trying to fight people. Like, he's just really aggressive and nobody knows why. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And then after that, these 3 girls came up to me and told me that they heard him calling me all these names earlier and that it's not normal. And so I walk over to where my boyfriend is and I grab my towel and I'm like, we're leaving. And I didn't want to walk out with him. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, we're leaving, meet us by the mopeds. So me and Emma walk up these cliffs and Emma goes to the mopeds and I go to the corner right here and I call Ben, my sister's fiance, and I'm just like, is it normal for a guy to call you a bitch? Like, is it normal for a guy to do this? And I started explaining the things that he had done within the last 2 hours. And he's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And as we're on the phone, I see my boyfriend coming up the cliff. And I'm like, oh, I got to go. Because if he saw that I was on the phone with my sister's fiance, it would have been like a whole other thing. So I walk up to him as he's walking up the cliff. And he looks at me. He's like, where were you? And I was like, oh, I was like on the phone. And he's like, let me see your phone. So I give him my phone. He goes through it for like 5 seconds. It gives it back to me. And that's when I noticed there's this other guy with him. And the guy's like, hey, your boyfriend is like really intoxicated, I think, right now. So I'm going to take you guys to go get pizza, have him sober up, and then you guys can ride your mopeds back home because I just don't feel safe with him riding right now. And I was like, yeah, of course, like that's fine. So at this point, we're all standing around the mopeds. And the guy walks away with Emma, I'm pretty sure. And they go like grab keys or something. I don't know. They were just gone. And that's when my boyfriend looks at me like 5 seconds after going through my phone and goes, let me see your phone again. And at that point, I'm like, no, I'm not letting you go through my phone. Like, you just had it 5 seconds ago. You went through it. You went on my Snapchat. You went, like, just, I'm not giving my phone again. Like, that's so OD. I want my phone. And he was so intoxicated at this point that, like, I didn't even want him to have my phone. So that obviously pissed him off. And he's like, no, I'm going to go through your phone. And he grabs my wrist and he slams me up against a brick wall, like, as hard as he could. And he has my wrist, like, strangling up against the wall. And he's, like, trying to get my phone. And that's when the guy comes up back from the car. And he's like, get your hands off of her. Like, don't be so aggressive with her. So my boyfriend turns around and starts trying to fight that guy. The guy who was literally about to go get us pizza and drive us. Like, for what? And he's like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. And that's when Emma starts screaming at him. And it's like, don't touch her like that. Don't be aggressive with her. Like, we all just saw that. We all just saw that. Like, what is wrong with you? So he starts screaming at Emma and the guy. And I remember, like, a flip switched in my head. And I just started sobbing. And I took off down the road away from everybody. And I remember I told myself, the day that I tell my mom the truth is the day that I'll leave. So, I run far, far away, like down the street, and I sit on a curb and I call my mom. And I tell her that he had been abusing me for the past 9 months. And that he had just done it again in front of everybody and I didn't know what to do. So I told her. And I was like, please don't tell anybody. I'm really scared. I've been keeping it a secret from everybody, but this has been happening. And at that point, Emma and the guy come up to me, and I tell them that he had been abusing me for 9 months. And I start showing them videos because even Emma didn't know how bad it was. I had never, like, confirmed it to her because I didn't want her. I was embarrassed. And so at that point, everybody just was like, you can't be around him anymore, and everybody's crying. And we end up getting in the car with the guy, and he's like, I'm going to take you guys to get pizza. You need to stay away from that guy. He's dangerous. So we get in the car, and at this point, my boyfriend had taken his moped and driven. I don't even know where, but he had, like, driven somewhere off on his moped. And I get back to the Airbnb that night, and all of his stuff is gone. And so I call him, and I'm like, wish you could have broken up with me in person, but it's done, I guess. You broke up with me. I told my mom, whatever. And he ends up driving his moped back to the Airbnb like 3 hours later. And he's like, let's go on a walk. I'll never forget this either. He told me to go on a walk that night. And I was scared to go on a walk with him. Like, I was scared. And that's, like, kind of what solidified it in my mind that this couldn't go on anymore. Like, why am I scared to go on a walk? Like, why am I scared to go on a walk with you at night in Hawaii? So we sit down on the beach, and we talk for, like, 3 hours. And I was crying so much, I was, like, projectile vomiting in the sand. And I was like, I told my mom everything. And he's like, no, I don't want to break up, whatever. Basically just crying for me back. We get back to the Airbnb, and I'm like, I don't want you sleeping in the room with me, because at this point we also had 3 more days to the trip in Hawaii. And I was like, I don't want you sleeping in the bed with me. Brendan and Emma are scared of you. I want you on the couch. He refused. He slept in the bed with me. I woke up the next morning to him cuddling, and I, like, shoved him off. And the next morning I called my mom, and the whole time he was in the room having me go on mute and telling me what to say back to my mom so that she wouldn't hate him, to the point where I ran outside when he wasn't looking, and I just ran outside, and I put the phone up to my ear, and I'm like, he's having me say this stuff to you. He has been assaulting me and abusing me. And after that, we spent 2 more days in Hawaii, and he tried to act like the perfect boyfriend, but I was already done at that point. So I get back home, and he goes back to Nashville, and we were still communicating on a break so that he could fix himself. Obviously, that didn't work. On January 25th, I ended up breaking up with him. And the reason I ended up breaking up with him officially was because a girl came up to me at a house party. And she told me that she's been going through this for 5 years. And then I realized it would never change, and he would never stop hitting me, and he would never stop hating me, and he would never love me. But I'll get more into that in the other one. But yeah.